Hello, friends. After the last episode, where we spoke about new managers, what is the first things they should do? Set up a foundation, so to say. And what are the possible mistakes that they can make on becoming new managers? Today, we are going to look at the things that you should be doing as new managers. While most of these things, or a lot of those things, would be reversals of what mistakes you can potentially make and avoid, we are going to look at a couple of points that are very critical. And even if they are reversals, you need to listen carefully because those are the things that are going to make your success a guaranteed affair. You are not going to leave things to chance. These are time-tested efforts by which new managers can succeed in their roles, in their new roles. Okay, so you need to be a successful manager. And once you are a successful manager, you need to develop still further to become a great leader. While there is overlap between management and leadership, today we are going to take a look mainly at management. And next episode, we will talk a little about what goes into becoming leaders from just being managers. Okay, so what do you need to do to become a great manager? And as far as I'm concerned, from my viewpoint, the first step and the primary step you need to do is to build trust. As long as everybody in your team is trusting you, trust me, the going will be smooth. And at the same time, you need to create the right culture. Culture is very important to an organization. Okay, so you need to create the right culture along with the trust. Or shall I say trust will become a part of your culture? It should be. Okay, so you need to build the right culture. And have no two thoughts about it, that your success and the success of your organization is heavily dependent. It is unfairly skewed towards the culture and the success that you build. Okay, your culture is going to build your success. So that culture is of absolute vital importance. Because that culture will determine how you work with your team. Not only a team on the whole, with each of the individual members of the team. Because you need to build a rapport with every individual who you are working with. And what is the trust that you will share between you and the team? Now, for all logical reasons, you are a part of the team. I mean, you may be the team leader, but you are the team leader. You are going to be a part of the team. Okay? And the better the culture and the trust, the better that you establish, or better the culture that you create, and the trust that you gather from all your colleagues and teammates and everybody else, all the stakeholders, in fact, the easier it will be for you to work in sync with your team. Okay? And once you're working in sync with your team and you're all on the same page, it is easier to execute the strategy that you have determined, the vision that you have once you have assumed the role of the manager for the organization, as well as for yourself. And it will be easier to attain the goals that you have identified as a part of your strategy. So, trust is vital because your team is going to help you to achieve the strategy. And once you have established the culture and the trust that is required for moving ahead, executing your strategy, and attaining your goals, there are other virtues that you will need to gather, create them, develop them, whatever else is required. You might have to train yourself completely because you may not be used to such a thing. And very often I tell new managers whom I meet across, look at your boss, make a list of the things you liked and didn't like. Okay. Your employees are going to feel the same way. So try to eradicate what you didn't like and turn that into something that you would like, and then do that, and your team is going to be happy. Okay. So you need to be able to establish the trust and culture and start working on the other virtues that you will need to build, which I just told you how you can possibly list down those virtues. However, we are going to look at a few of them today. Okay. And the first thing, again, I come back to my walk the talk, demonstrate and show the team. Don't just talk and tell them. Demonstrate and show the team what is the urgency and importance of change. The change is the only constant. And as I've said, if you are not changing, no matter how far ahead of the competitors you are, if you're going to stand still, they are going to catch up with you. And then it is equivalent to your taking a step backward. And we don't want this. We want to be the leaders, even within the space that we are operating in at all times. So you need to be able to convince your team, talk to them, demonstrate by acting on it of how important and how urgent change is. Because if you don't change fast enough and let the others catch up for you, then to get that lead again is going to be a big challenge. Okay. So to do this, you need to clearly, in explicit terms, communicate with your team, every single team member, of why that change matters. Because if it doesn't matter, why would you want to change it? So you would have to communicate with them why the change matters. What are going to be the long-term impacts of making that change? How it is going to benefit the organization? And how it's going to help the organization propel forward at even a brisker pace. And once your team visualizes and understands this, then the implementation of the change becomes far easier, because they themselves are probably bought into the change that you are wanting to make. And when you tell them about the change, what are the impacts and all, do not forget to tell them about how it is going to impact them. What is going to be their role in the new environment once that change comes into? Why every single member of the team is important, okay, and how they fit into the larger, the bigger picture and the scheme of things. Once they know that, then trust me, they are bought in. If what you have planned for them, if what is going to happen to them as a result of that change is going to create a positive impact on them, they are going to work for it, because who doesn't want to grow? Another important thing to do is to identify and define your leadership style. We spoke about this last time, and I would like to again reiterate that your leadership style you can define, but do not make it something where the personality of that leader is not you. Okay, so if there is something you like, if the boss's leadership style you like, or if some mentor, you want to emulate them, yes, but make sure that you adapt it, that you tweak it so that it is in sync with your personality. Another tremendously important thing, as important as change, is put people first. Always. As I said last time, goals are important, but don't get bogged down with the details. Put people first. They are your true valuable assets. Remember one thing, a machine is only as good as the person who is driving the machine. Okay. The best of equipments are not going to help you if you don't have the best of operators operating that machine. So you need to make sure that your team is really world class. Because at the end of the day, it is your team that keeps the company going ahead, progressing positively at all times. They are the ones who keep your customers happy. They are the ones who keep all the other stakeholders satisfied. And they are the ones who create and maintain the energy and the culture that you have established within the organization. And therefore, it is your job not only to make sure that what you have created sustains itself, but to make sure that the organization in which you are is making constant progress. And therefore, you need to make sure that all your team members are happy. Nothing works without that. Are motivated, and at all times they are upskilled. Is going to be a very important point. I've been saying it in practically every episode. You need to make sure that train your team, make sure they are upskilled to be capable of delivering and making the required impact from everything the organization does. As a team, celebrate small wins. It doesn't have to be a big party. But if somebody has accomplished something, no matter how small, but it has to be significant, celebrate those small wins. It could be as simple as giving a small piece of chocolate to everybody or giving everybody a soft drink. It doesn't have to be a big party. Okay, but you need to celebrate it. This makes the success more valuable. And such a small celebration goes a long way into increasing exponentially the motivation of not only the employee who succeeded, but the entire team, knowing that successes are being appreciated. Always encourage team members to think out of the box, to try something new. And when you encourage them, you have to first be prepared that maybe 9 out of the 10 things that you try are going to fail. But that one thing is enough for everybody to feel gratified at having made those 9 other unsuccessful attempts at improving things. Okay, so support such initiatives where somebody has the courage, somebody takes the initiative to think out of the box and try something new. And if he fails, still see the good in it, discuss the good in it, point out the good in it. Don't focus on the failure. Appreciate that he took the initiative. Appreciate that everybody else is also learning from that failure. Okay? Do not focus on the failure. And use such failures as stepping stones, as guidelines on how and where you need to train your team so that such failures do not happen again in the future. And of course, how to improve that one particular failure, how to improve so that it becomes a much better. When you create the culture, and we spoke of this last time also, make sure that it is a culture of openness and sharing. And again, as with everything else, trust is very critical here. Because if they don't trust you, they are not going to share their ideas, their challenges, their doubts with you, because they are not sure that they're going to get the right kind of help. As we just said, experimenting has to go on, thinking out of the box. Because these are the things from which you will keep learning. And if you stop learning, you are doomed. Just like innovate or perish, you stop learning and get doomed. You will always get pushbacks, both from your team members as well as from your bosses. You need to learn how to tackle them, how to deftly tackle them. You can't be very brash about it. You have to be diplomatic. So you have to learn how to deftly tackle and handle the pushbacks that come your way. If you want to grow, you need to delegate. You need to learn how to delegate efficiently. And once you delegate, make sure you give them the autonomy. Don't micromanage them. Give them the autonomy to execute the task. But make sure that you have in place a robust reporting system so that you are not unaware when things go drastically wrong. A lot of times I've seen that being promoted to a manager makes people very egocentric and they think everything is about them. Far from truth. Everything is not about you. Remember that. But at the same time, remember, you need to own the things that are about you, your weaknesses, your mistakes. You make a mistake, admit it. Do not try to wash it away. Your team sees that and your respect reduces. So you need to remember that everything is not about you, but whatever is about you, you need to own it 100%. Okay? Whenever you are managing things, be intentional. Don't go on autopilot. What I mean by autopilot is don't keep doing the things that everybody has been doing for the last 20 years. Variables change. And as variables change, your management system needs to change. Your map for going to your goals needs to change. Sometimes your strategy needs to be tweaked. So you cannot just go on autopilot. You need to be intentional. And the best example I have on this is that even after 3 years of COVID, of getting over COVID, I know so many managers and HR departments and organizations on the whole who are still struggling with how to deal with hybrid work. You know, they say once a lion tastes blood, it can't do without it. It's the same with all our team members. They've learned the advantages of hybrid work. They've learned that they are able to balance work and life much better. And therefore, that thing is going to stay for a long time. You need to stay connected with your team. Okay. Being in the office is not staying connected. Go talk to them. See the reports. Somebody is struggling, go. Take the initiative. Go talk to him. Ask him why he's struggling. Help him out, but don't do his work for him. Okay? And at all times, you need to make sure that accountability is in place. And even more important than accountability being in place is that you are the one who is accountable first and foremost. And keep training the team till they don't need you anymore. The only way for you to move up the ladder is if there is somebody who's there to replace you. No company is going to promote you by creating a vacuum in the work that you are doing. So keep training your team, train them till they don't need you anymore. Next episode, we shall look at what are the key things to evolve into a leader from a manager. I hope you enjoyed this session. Do send in your comments. I didn't receive too many comments last time. Maybe this time it's going to be better. Thank you. Have a great evening.